What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode number 488. My name is Steve, one of the co-hosts of the show. As always, I'm joined by
Ron.
Are you wearing my lingerie that snaps together at the crotch?
There's one day you could have asked me that question and the answer would have been yes. It's right now.
Right.
Perfect timing, John.
Can I say there was an alt? Just in case we want to do a family-friendly edit of this, there was an alt. For the record, there's nothing wrong with a good podcast. That's just a nice
there you go.
Tagline for our show. So here we are, 488. We're getting up there. We're about to crack into those 490s, and the next thing you know, 500.
Jeez.
How about that?
It'll be soon. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
And we're not like doubling down. You know, some people do like 2-3 episodes a week. I like that we do one episode a week, and
at
we
most.
Still are at the point where we're at.
Yeah, right.
We come to you in Dolby
crazy.
Atmos.
Yeah.
But no, I like that we've kept it steady though. Like sometimes I'll look back and I'll be like, yeah, we do all right. Like over the course of a year or a month or whatever, it's like it'll be a nice little value. But you're right, we don't. We've tried at times, and there've been emergency episodes and things we've squeezed in over the years. But you're right, we have not doubled down to get to those numbers. But then as I've often said, the reason why we're about to get to 500 episodes is because no one has physically stopped us from making podcasts yet. You just keep doing it. Anyone out there, if you want to start a podcast, all you have to do is keep doing it. No one will take your microphone away. Not yet. They aren't sending thugs around to take away microphones yet.
That may start to happen at some point, though.
Yeah. Guys in boots will come around and like slap you and take your microphone. And then they'll march out. Yeah. And I'm not even saying it shouldn't happen. Every now and then I'll see a very anti-podcast statement online, and I'm like, I understand why some people feel that way, but I feel like
for sure.
I feel like their podcast diet is way worse than mine, though. When people talk about what they hate about podcasts, I want to say like, oh, you're not listening to any of the good ones, then.
Right? There's lots of podcasts. Like it's stranger people.
Focus on
the terrible ones.
Yeah, man.
Mm.
So what we got here? We got some required viewing coming up. You guys saw some movies.
Yeah.
I think that's good timing, especially big Memorial Day weekend. I don't know, the one, John, I know the one you saw. It's supposed to be the big movie of the weekend, so you can talk about that in a bit. But let's do Ronald's required viewing first. You want to remind us what you chose and why?
Yes. The movie that I chose was Cat Correro and Will Packer produced movie You, Me, and Tuscany. I think this is Amazon. Was this? No, this is Amazon. Amazon.
No, it wasn't Amazon. It was Amazon.
It's a Universal, I think.
Oh God! But yeah, it's a Will Packer produced movie. For those not familiar with Will Packer's work, let me give you some movies. Think Like a Man, Obsessed, Ride Along, Girls Trip, Night School. Night School is hilarious. And there's some other ones. Like I like Ride Along as well. And Think Like a Man's a pretty solid movie as well. So, Will Packer is known for typically his partnership with Kevin Hart as like the last couple of years, I'd say. But he has made other movies that do not have him in it at all, but most of them do. This one, You, Me, and Tuscany, stars, man, I do not want to butcher his name, Regé Jean Page.
That's perfect. You got it.
Oh, Holly Bailey. Yeah.
I was like, you're going to get that one right. He's going to mess up the second one.
The name.
Berry.
Yeah, I was about to say the name most confused for Halle Berry that has ever existed.
It ever existed. So, yeah, that's
yes.
Guilty.
Little Mermaid, The Little Mermaid. This is a story of a woman who's not really living in her own truth, and is living in abject poverty, and kind of fakes her life through house sitting, and gets caught in one of the people's lingerie. This line you may have heard at the beginning of the podcast.
May have heard
And
the
it's
famous
fired.
line.
Yeah. She meets up with a guy in a hotel lobby of a friend's employment, and has a conversation with a guy about Tuscany and how beautiful it is. And she decides that she wants to do a pretty drastic change, life change, and decides that she wants to go to Tuscany. She also has some chef background that is kind of talked about throughout the film. Her taste for food is there. She has a pretty amazing palate. She likes things from all over the world, but has not been all over the world, and decides that this trip to Tuscany is going to be her first of many trips. So
She also the guy also, you should mention, also showed her pictures of his house that he
Yes.
said sat there in Tuscany empty all the time, and
yes,
and so that's in
she
her mind.
decides,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to that house.
I'm gonna break and enter.
Yeah, yeah, and live in that house in Tuscany because the guy is almost never there. And Regé Jean Page shows up, a very charismatic British man that speaks Italian, that is now living in this area.
He said he was born in England and he was raised there.
Raised, yeah.
Yeah. Which, come on, dog.
Come on, dog.
Come on, dog. Very interesting that they chose that. But yeah, he's super charismatic, and a confusion builds that is just sends her on a path. I'm not gonna give that part away, but chaos ensues. What you guys think of You, Me, and Tuscany?
I'd like to hear John's reaction first.
I think it's funny that so many romantic comedies have somebody who's like a big old liar as the main character. Like somebody who's like I don't know if there's a name for it, but like I wrote down psychotic levels of Goldilocks entitlement, where it's like just coming into the guy's house and like, but I think we're supposed to, like romantic comedies have tons of characters like that who like cook up a scheme. They roll into town and they lie to everybody. And like, then I guess what I was noting was how often in these types of movies, you spend so much more time dealing with the lie and the mechanics of the lie and the fallout from the lie, that the romance is kind of like a sideshow to the person
That's a good point.
who's lying to everybody. And I understand why movies need that engine sometimes, that story engine of someone hiding something. But I think it's kind of funny in this movie how much more plot there was than I think it needed. It was already like a hat on a hat when it was like, oh, she's lying to everybody, because she already had the whole thing of coming there without a plan and then breaking in, entering the guy's house. Then the fact that she's lying to everybody was very much like, oh, and maybe this is a personal thing. It just makes me nervous when I'm watching a movie and I'm like, okay, just go ahead and get to the part where everybody finds out, because everything's a lie. Every relationship and every friendship, everything's gonna, even if it lasts, it's going to go through this whole scene that we've seen a million times before. And I would say that like romantic comedies can seem like they're assembled from parts we've seen before very easily. And this movie is definitely like, I don't know that it ever really rises above the tropes, but I do think that like, it doesn't hurt that you're shooting in this beautiful place. It doesn't hurt that you have these like charming actors who are doing their best to put this over. It still felt a little kind of made for TV, and again, kind of paint by numbers.
Yeah,
but,
it did.
But I could see somebody slotting this into their rom-com marathon or something like that, because it's like you could almost play bingo with it and like tick off the beats and the things that it does, right down to the like friend who's like it's just nice to have a friend who's going to talk to you at the beginning of the movie about the themes of the movie. you know.
Yeah.
And she was like, "You don't get out enough. You need to explore more and really live a life, and not not whatever, not live like you said, Ronald. She's a house sitter who sort of lives through the lives of the people whose houses she's staying in and is in denial about it, in a way. And her friends saying, no, you need to just live your life. So like that's kind of what the lesson of the movie is. It is crazy that she has this non-plan when she goes to Italy.
Yeah.
You mentioned the chef background. I thought it was funny when they're in the kitchen and the old guy sees her flip something and then like use tongs to put it on a plate, and he goes, "She can cook."
Yeah.
So
Little things
Right.
like that.
But like that's a shorthand, like you can feel all that stuff happening, the way that the family starts to love her and all that stuff. It really feels like, again, we've seen this before, but it's almost like this kind of works. And I was relieved when she finally gets to the part where she comes clean. And I was just wondering, will they find love after this lie has been discovered, Ronald? That's the question in every romantic comedy.
it's a really good question. I mean, you really do wonder, even based on the cover. You're like, these two have a lot of chemistry. Even just looking at this cover, will their destinies meet? Will they? Will the question get answered at the end? That's all we wonder throughout.
I did think the phrase "spicy white" was funny. I've heard that before, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
When she says he was white, and she was like, "No, he was Italian," and she said "spicy white."
The spicy white. It's so funny. Oh man.
You mentioned the chemistry. Like, what did I know? Well, Ronald, you seem pretty high on it. What did you think of the chemistry?
I think I was fucking with you when I said that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I wanted to
think,
get into that because I think that was probably my biggest.
yeah,
I found the movie to be pretty enjoyable, like better than I thought it was going to be.
for
Honestly,
sure.
only because I didn't really I didn't know much about it. Your comment about the Amazon thing, like, or whatever, like I genuinely felt the same. Like I knew I
Yeah.
saw this on a stream or somewhere, but like I couldn't remember where. But it wasn't. It was just like online. I was just seeing marketing for it, but I had low expectations just because I think of that like weird exposure. Like I didn't see any mainstream stuff for it, but yeah, I don't know. My low expectations, I was pleasantly surprised by the movie.
So,
And I think by everyone and like individual performances, I thought were pretty good. And but I your comment before, I was like, oh really? Because I didn't feel that
yeah.
about the
I thought
chemistry.
Holly
That was my
Bailey
biggest
had.
ding on it.
Yeah. I thought she had more chemistry with everybody she was meeting in Tuscany
Right.
than she did with him.
She
And-
had the best chemistry with the driver.
Yeah, the
The
driver, right?
Yes, absolutely.
He was
I thought
great.
they were gonna have something.
I thought he
like,
was gonna be more like her confidant friend, kind of throughout
Yeah.
the thing. But he was good. Actually, he might have been my favorite thing about the movie. Honestly, his character. He just because I believed that character. This guy.
He's really
Me too.
great. He was in that Netflix series. We're talking about Lorenzo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was in
Lorenzo.
that the Four Seasons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
okay.
Coleman Domingo's partner in that show. I actually, with that comes back for a new season that next week actually. But yeah, he was really good in the show. I thought he was really great in the movie. And yeah, I totally agree. The scenes of them together was like so much more relaxed
Yeah,
and just like funny and light. And yeah. But you were saying, go ahead, Ronald.
uh, Ray J seemed more comfortable in his own skin than Holly Bailey felt when they were talking. I think there were times where, oh God, man, I don't want to dump on her, but
She felt kind of
that-
Disney kid.
Yeah, she felt Disney. Yes, there's a thing that happens where people age into roles, but they're not ready for the role. Like there's you're right. She didn't feel like mature enough. Like she's in front of this really charismatic, really worldly guy. And she could have been a fish out of water. It could have been a fish out of water, but out of your depth is a different thing. I felt like they were in two different movies almost. Like he really does have like a I could watch him in something again, in like a rom-com or something like that, and feel like he belonged there. Holly
Okay.
Bailey doesn't feel quite like she's quite. Give her like 5, 6 more years. There's this.
Well, I was gonna say it almost played like it was like he felt a little older, like.
Yeah,
And I mean,
yeah,
and I know you were just kind of alluding to that, but I think it in a way that I didn't even think about until now, as far as a thing that hurt the chemistry a little bit. That she did seem
Yeah.
a little bit like she was sort of playing a little bit older than she comes off or something. Like she
yeah,
read as an
yeah.
adult woman, and she is an adult woman. It's just she looks a little bit younger than that. I don't know. It's not like it was creepy. It just, I think it contributed to that feeling that maybe she needed to be in a more like teen movie kind of feeling movie,
Right.
or I don't know. But also I think of him as older just because I've known him for a few years. He might not actually be that much older than her. I liked him in the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I thought he was
Me
really
too.
funny in that. And I feel like he's been in something else. Maybe
Yeah.
he hosted SNL or something, because I know I've seen him do something else.
Mm.
But yeah,
It was her voice and her body language just were really getting to me. I was like,
yeah, sort of stagey, sort
yeah,
of.
she doesn't feel comfortable. She's not comfortable yet. She's not comfortable in this. There's like these. Like I know she has a kid and everything, like in real life, but there's like I don't
Well,
know. There's like
Oh wow.
My understanding is it wasn't that long ago that a magical spell gave her legs. So she's, as far as
true,
her being a
true
little
indeed,
awkward, I feel like she's still
true
figuring
indeed.
some things out. You know,
Yeah,
you
that's
know who
true.
knew
Yeah.
something was up the whole time? They're right over my shoulder. It's Nana.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
She knew something was up the whole time. She was like, "This girl is lying." I felt like Nana was
Yeah.
racist.
Nana was like, he didn't like black women. Nana, Nana
Well, then
knew.
Nana, they
Oh,
squeeze
that's
in they
funny.
squeeze in another romantic comedy trope, which is the like sort of trash talking granny. They get in a little trash talking granny right at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's like, "If you want to tap that ass, then tap it."
oh
I do
my
think the
God.
family relationships were weird in this because there's so much chemistry, as far not chemistry, but I just mean like in terms of the movie, people watching them together. It's so clear that she and Michael are hooking up, and like they're like running around in the rain together. They're just doing all these things, and it's just funny to think that anybody would have been watching them thinking, "Oh, they've just met. This is perfectly normal. They're not like all
Right.
over each other."
Yeah.
But I do think like the movie, the closest it got to being kind of interesting to me in that plot level was when we realized the misunderstanding. Like when when Michael sees Mateo downtown with Isabella, and Mateo's not really doing anything wrong. I mean, he's a cad and he's kind of a cavalier guy who blows his family off and stuff, but he's not really like that bad of a guy. So like the fact that he's with an old flame, it's not bad. But for Michael to see that, it seems horrible that he's leading Anna on while he's doing that. And I thought that it was like, oh, this is a little bit, there's something going on here that's a little bit interesting with the possible misunderstandings, but
Yeah.
that it never really, I think it was right after that she comes clean. So it was kind of like, okay, well now they're not going to keep, it's not like, it never reached the level of being like a farce. It was more just that thing of like, oh, here comes the lie. Everything's going to blow up. And I also thought it was funny that to believe that anyone would believe it, you have to believe that nobody really talks to Mateo, like to the point where they would meet her and not like text him immediately or something. But I
Right.
guess they kind of explain it like he's a slippery guy that's hard to get a hold of or whatever. But it does seem like that when we saw his phone, so it does kind of seem like they would have said,
Yeah.
"Oh, we've met Anna," and he would say, "What the hell are you talking about?"
What was up with all those feet pics in the phone? That was weird. Like they were just pictures of his own feet.
Yeah, I guess that was what that was he's turned on by his own feet. I didn't think about it. I thought of it as it's weird that he had pictures of his feet, but I didn't think about it as like foot fetish and it's his own feet.
This is what I imagine. I know this is what I'm about to say is really a stretch, but I don't care. This is our podcast.
Yeah.
Will Packer is writing this story about white people in it, and I think he believes that this kind of white guy would just have pictures of his own feet in it, like, and they're like strange ones. It's like him just sitting there, and then they're like in like a yoga pose sort of thing, and his feet in the sand. I was like, what is this? But I think that Will Packer's like, I imagine that this is the kind of white boy that would do this sort
Steve,
of.
you've got pictures like that, don't you? I've
Oh,
got,
yeah, it's again timing. I just deleted them, but I'll get some new ones soon.
I was about to say, Steve and I sometimes together, just for a treat, we'll get a little foot photo shoot together. Like not our feet together, because that's filthy. But we will do it with the same photographer on the same
Just
day.
threw up a little bit in my mouth.
Right. I thought you guys did like a feet sort of thing. Like,
No, we don't do that.
They can never touch. They can never
make a
touch.
heart.
Yeah, that's sick. That's sick. What kind of weirdo
So
do you
gross.
think?
So gross. Yeah. So gross. They long for one another, but they can never touch.
Yeah, right. That's the way feet. That's the sadness of feet.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny, man. It was like a very strange Easter egg. It's like this is what I believe.
Well, it's like also there's a little bit of like back to that sort of toxic romantic comedy protagonist. Like he's asleep. She gets his phone, uses his sleeping face to unlock his phone, goes into his photos, taps over his photos. We're just seeing that as like quirky behavior in this movie.
Yeah.
Well,
Even
I guess
though
they are trying to say she's got kind of a vicarious. I mean, it's a little bit like she's a boundary stepper, but they never come back around to that it's like, I don't know, data theft or whatever you would call that. But she didn't. She then breaks into his house. So
yeah, it could be. This could also pass for a horror film too. If you think about some of the things she did, it was like creepy ass.
Isn't that a thing people have pointed out about a lot of romantic comedies? Is that like if you tweak the concept a little bit, it becomes a horror scenario.
Yeah,
because it's usually like a tenacious weirdo who won't let something go.
Did you see the horror version of Mrs. Doubtfire?
Like they edited the trailer or something?
Yeah, it was like a trailer. It's pretty funny.
They also did the rom-com version of The Shining. They did like a trailer for that was like a rom-com. Using the Peter Gabriel song Salisbury Hill, like that was used in so many trailers.
I'd buy that for $1.
I would too. Who wouldn't? Although now that would be $20.
Yeah, with inflation.
Yeah. What year is RoboCop set? I bet we blew past it.
That's a good question.
When was RoboCop set? Question mark. Oh, wait, now I'm going to get an AI result because I did question mark. Set in the near future from 87. So some people believe it was supposed to take place in the 90s. So, yeah, all right, we blew past it 30 years ago. So $1, I don't know if it's quite 20 times that, but it would be. Let me think. What would be $1? What's the inflation from like 92 to now? Do you keep those figures in front of you, Steve?
No.
I thought you had I thought you always had your laminated tables out.
Yeah. You said 92?
92 $1. What would that be now?
To now?
Yeah.
It's $2.37.
Okay, so not quite 20.
Okay. I'd buy that for $2.50.
I'll buy that for
It does not have the same ring to it.
No, it does not.
It's not as exciting. Yeah, no.
No. That's funny.
That's hilarious. You see.
So yeah, if you believe in love and you've got a lot of time on your hands, and especially if you're the type of person, I know people that watch like marathons of like Hallmark Christmas movies and that kind of thing. So I do think there's an audience for like mild, pleasant entertainment, and I think this falls into that category of like mild and pleasant.
I saw somebody post. I was reading a couple reviews about it, and it was like it was kind of a cut on the movie. They were kind of mixed negative on it. But they were just basically like, this is what a Hallmark movie looks like when it actually has a budget.
Yeah, no, that is kind of it.
I mean, and I read that and I was like, oh, that's kind of mean. I was like, but actually, it's kind of It's
Right.
kind of
Right
spot
on the
on, I think.
nose.
Yeah, like it's kind
Yeah.
of like, wow, it's actually true.
Well, people watch those movies because they go down easy, or at least the people that like that kind of movie love the kind of
Exactly.
formula, all the stuff that I was
Exactly.
saying.
Yeah.
To say this
Yeah.
movie doesn't rise above the tropes, someone who likes rom-coms, Romicus Comicus, would
Right.
say, well, yeah, no shit. I don't want it to overcome the
Yeah.
tropes. If it's
Bring on the
overcoming the tropes,
tropes.
it's not doing what I want, you know?
Right.
They may even say, "Bring on the tropes, you dope."
Yeah.
All of them.
Let's trope a dope.
Yeah. Trope. Romicus Comicus. Bring on the tropes, you dope.
Trophy dopes. Oh, man. So did you hear a lot about that movie or this movie when it was in theaters? I was just kind of circle back to something because it is interesting
I,
overall.
I,
There's idea like there's like tons of stuff everywhere, and it's like who knows what's coming out when, where, and
yeah,
how.
I remember hearing Holly Bailey talk about it a little teeny bit, and I never heard about it again.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
very strange. It kind of disappeared.
Oh, that
Okay.
yawn, that yawn made your camera zoom in.
Oh man, Romicus Comicus. It's crazy because like the last big rom com we talked about was Rye Lane, and Rye Lane is like one of my favorite rom coms ever. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, I feel like the last few that we really like kind of gushed on and loved were like kind of weird exceptions to what's coming out
yeah,
in
yeah,
theaters of any kind of time, but yeah, but I mean, I'm glad it's good. I mean, it's the kind of thing where like again, I had low expectations, lack of awareness. I mean, I know I saw it, I knew it by name, I knew who was in it, but like, I just think that it's just there's so much stuff. But I mean, some of these things that are like not uh dramas, action, thrillers, comic book, whatever IP stuff, like there's definitely still audiences for these films, and especially the ones that are good slash better than average, whatever you want to give it. Um, and I think people still find the movies. Like I think I have been seeing a lot of people talk about this movie. So I mean, clearly it's got an audience of some kind. So it was definitely more enjoyable than I expected, mainly from the lack of awareness. But um, yeah, I thought the cast was fun. I did my big hang up was just simply I think there was a pretty noticeable lack of chemistry between them.
yeah.
And John's comment about like something just wasn't clicking with her and him or her as the lead or even just kind of I don't know. Yeah, she does kind of give a vibe that is a little younger or like the divide between the two of them seemed greater than I expected. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It was funny. It was a lot of fun and uh, felt like a good rom-com. Just throw it on, That's the point of half of these.
Yeah,
Not meant to really shake the earth. It's like just it's kind of just to be enjoyable for an hour and 40 minutes or whatever.
yeah, for sure.
Excuse me. Um, so I'm up, right?
Um, no, is it?
Ronald, me,
Wait.
you.
Oh, well, I guess that's right. Did
Yeah.
the right one before that was Dread? That's right.
Yeah, you had Dread.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna pick something that I was really upset I didn't get to see in theaters, and I saw come out on POV last week. I was excited. I think last week. Um, the reason I was mad I missed is because it's a smaller foreign indie horror, well, horror thriller Japanese film that got some sort of small theatrical release here, and it was playing right down the street, and I missed it twice. But it's on PVOD now, called Exit 8.
Mm.
Mm,
Have either of you heard about this?
I know the
yes,
name.
Okay.
I have not seen it though.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I think it came out last week. This film is called Exit 8. It's only like an hour and a half. Basically, the log line is a man becomes increasingly desperate when he realizes he is trapped in a subway station, needing to complete a mission to get out. But
Mm,
there's like elements of body horror and some, just maybe creature stuff in there. I tried to stay away too much from the trailers. I saw two people that I follow that I have a pretty high trust in,
mm,
that both really liked it one like was loving it. But yeah, it was playing right down in Owings Mills, and I tried twice, and they had like the same problem John had recently, like where it was like one time to see a movie, and I could. It was what was that you were trying to see the Yorma movie that you couldn't
Yeah.
find a showtime for.
Over your
Mm,
dead body.
Oh, your body, yeah. And this was the same. This I think I even mentioned it on that pod. This was the same case where it was like two showtimes, but thankfully it's at home now, and I think it's like $10
okay.
on all the PVOD platforms. But we'll talk about Exit 8 next week.
I heard about it for a very specific reason.
Is it a
It's a vi-
spoiler to say or?
no, it's a video game movie.
Oh, right. Yes, it is. That's right.
So
That was
it's
the
like
context.
that's the context. So I got a lot of people telling me it was very much worth seeing because it's one of the few good video game movies. So that's exciting.
Cool. Well, yeah, well, that'll work. That they did mention that too in the one of the videos that I was talking about. They did talk about what was it? It was can't remember who it was specifically, but it was basically like they were kind of guessing. I think they were talking about it in context with like a lot of the other video game movies coming out recently, or
Mm,
now or in the near future. Like they were talking like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and they were talking about this and the Resident Evil trailer and all this stuff. And they were like, well, one came out that was actually really good, and they were talking about this. So
yeah. This also is one of those movies. God, it's that space thing.
There you go
Oh,
with the
I didn't
dramatic
zoom in.
zoom
So
in.
it's that space thing that's Backrooms
Yeah.
that plays
oh
on the
yeah,
same sort of it's a genre of space.
Liminal space.
John said it last week. Yeah, there it is,
Yeah,
liminal
yeah.
space.
Liminal space. Ay Dios mío. So yeah, that's exciting because we're getting a liminal space horror film
Yes.
prior to Backrooms coming out. It'll be cool to kind of talk about these sorts of uses of space and things like that. Because that was like
Yeah,
one of the first things I heard about. They were like, "Oh God, it's scary. You don't know what's
right,
beyond
right.
this." You know, very cool.
No, yeah, it's good timing. I wish we could see Backrooms
Me
before
too.
next week because it could be great to talk about both of them in the same pod, but didn't seem like that was going to happen. But yeah, Exit 8 is on the PVOD channels like Amazon. What is that you use? Vudu, all those. Uh, and we'll get there next week. But let's talk about what you guys saw this week or in the recent days here. Um, Ronald, you want to jump into yours first?
Sure. 2026. A offering from Boots Riley.
Boots.
A movie that really celebrates the bootlegger, the booster, if you will. And the theory is that Boots believes, I mean, in his interviews, that the booster community kind of lends itself to the fashion world. Like it's like without boosters, you wouldn't see this fashion on people. You wouldn't see the flips
Right.
that the community does, and then the things that like Ralph Lauren's taken, that Tommy Hilfiger's taken, that Gucci is taken. There's a lot of residual conversation going back and forth between the industry and people that have uh, things from boosters. So this is really it starts off with a group of boosters that is going around making money, and it kind of goes haywire from there. I mean, this is one of those movies that is very, very hard to describe beyond the commercial because it's so much more than the commercial. But I'll say that Kiki Palmer plays a character named Corvette, and Naomi Aki plays Sade, and Taylor Page plays a character named Mariah, and they go around boosting, and they run into another booster that is getting close significantly faster than them, and they're trying to figure out why that is. But the boosting really does make an impact on the industry, and one of the big titans, played by Demi Moore, Chrissy Smith, starts to notice the pattern of people that are taking her stuff, and she does these things to kind of get back at them and throw jabs at them subtly. But yeah, it's an interesting give and take between the industry and the boosters. But in between that is a lot of craziness. When I say that this movie goes off the rails, it goes off the rails. Like,
But like in a Boots Riley way where it's meant to go off the rails, or does it go off the rails even for a Boots Riley movie?
even for Boots Riley.
Okay.
Damn.
Because thank you for
No, it's sorry for bothering you. Sorry to bother
sorry
you.
sorry to bother you. You know, I really like that movie. I really enjoyed it from beginning to end, even the horse dicks and all that stuff. This one gets really nuts. Like it gets insane. Like, if to the point where it feels like three or four movies put together.
Hmm.
And I kind of wish that one of the concepts, there's a couple concepts that could have stuck. Like, it gets downright science fiction at some points in it, and that is something that I'm wondering how people are going to take it, because our theater had a very strange reaction to it. There, even the parts that were meant to be funny, it goes so far off the rails in terms of just like normal. This is regular humor, and then this is something a little outside of it
Mm-hmm.
that I think it's a little hard to process in the moment, and then it doesn't let up on it. Like, well, some movies like have shades of it. Like, I even say The Simpsons. Like, The Simpsons kind of say like a normal story, and then okay,
They would take their foot off the gas for a moment or two.
this
Yeah.
doesn't take its foot off the gas at all. To the point where a friend of the show, Pierre, made some comments that I don't want to repeat. I don't want to repeat on air, but I'll say he had some opinions about the competency of the director, and I was wondering it too. I was like, this doesn't feel as together ever as I would have wanted it to.
Oh, interesting.
The thing is too, though, with that said, there's so many stars in it. There's so many interesting people, and so many people doing well in their roles that I can't throw this movie away. Like, this isn't one of those movies that I can just dismiss. Like, when it comes on PVOD, I'm gonna watch it again. But this is one of the messier Boots offerings that I've seen, even versus the I Love Virgos. Uh, it just is one of those ones I can't figure out what was happening. It didn't feel cohesive to me, and I'm wondering what the Rotten Tomato score is going to look like when it comes out. Yeah, that's how afraid I am of how disjointed this movie is.
Well, it was one of my most anticipated movies, if you remember when we did our little
Yeah.
preview. So I'm a little bummed to hear that it doesn't connect, but I'll always have the trailer. I loved the trailer.
Yeah, I mean it is like experience. It's funny. I'm looking at. Okay, this is what's so weird. I'm looking at the tomato meter, and the critics are saying that's 92%. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck movie where they watch? What the fuck? I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel that way. And neither did Pierre. I don't know, man. This wasn't it. This wasn't it. Not for me, at least.
You all right? You feel good? You seem a little stressed out
I
about
feel bad, man. Like, I like Boots. I like that presentation. Did you see the presentation he did for the movie?
Yeah.
He did like kind of like a
Excuse me.
something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just a little disappointed. A little disappointed, and I don't want to. I got downright angry at it after a while.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I could feel myself like almost did a Steve and Suspiria.
Oh, you're pulling that into this conversation. Uh-oh. That's going deep.
Listeners may not know
That's a deep cut.
that Steve was seething during the Suspiria remake. Like, especially once it got past like the 2/3 mark. You see, seething is the word for it. You were
Yeah,
squirming.
because it wasn't. No,
and
it wasn't.
seething.
It wasn't as good as the original. It wasn't. It started.
But it was
to feel
also so
incoherent.
not Steve's cup of tea. Like, you and I found things to like about that movie. Steve
Yeah,
was,
yeah, we found that.
yeah, there was no love lost between Steve and that movie. And it may have even been one of those times, Steve, where you might have been working the screening, so you had a little bit of stress of like checking to make sure that the people, like if someone was making noise or whatever, you might have
Right.
you might have had to
Yeah.
have been like on the swivel. I can't remember. But that's disappointing.
Not my movie, yeah. But no, I'm bummed to hear that. But we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I saw another movie that might disappoint viewers.
Oh no!
I don't know. I will only say that because I was able to see Mandalorian and Grogu this afternoon, and if you're wondering, does Grogu still have like the power to make you like want to laugh and like nudge the person next to you and point to him and be like, "Can you look at him go?" Yes, Grogu is still a superstar, and the slightly amped up budget and presentation of him getting around and stuff is great. The way that he just like hops whenever he like jumps across the room, and it's like it's basically a puppet on a wire going woo. It's fantastic. And his little, I mean, he's great. He's wonderful. Mando still looks cool. There are scenes and sections of the movie that really are humming along in a way that I would just say this is pure fun. This feels like good Star Wars. It does feel like the show. It feels like 2 or 3 episodes of the show kind of stretched out, and not necessarily like the best episodes of the show, just 2 or 3 kind of decent, okay episodes of the show. It's a weird structure because the story, there is a villainous character, there is some fighting going on, but you never really feel that Star Wars villain kind of thing that you might want.
Right.
And the episodic nature of it means that you are watching like set pieces, some of which are kind of fun, but some of which are kind of drawn out in a weird way. Like you get to see a lot of stuff that's like, I feel like a lot of the scenes felt kind of drawn out, a lot of the action scenes and kind of adventure portions, because the story's so light. And there's a part of me that says like, this is a thing that's got puppets and CGI characters and a guy wearing a helmet, and therefore it's kind of like a creatures forward version of a Star Wars thing. And it's like, there's ways in which I really like what it's trying to do. I like the way in which it is allowing itself to feel kind of smaller, but it feels so small as to not, like, you don't really come away from it with any new information about anything, like it's just kind of a caper. And there's some parts of it that are fun and some parts of it that are less fun. And then like, your tolerance for the CGI version of Jabba or of Hutts is going to largely define how you respond to some of the villains in this. I felt like I needed, and again, there is a character who is kind of like, oh, this is the person that's going around that we have to deal with, that's being as like a person for Mando to fight with. You do have that, but it just didn't feel like they were doing anything on a story level that went beyond like 2 or 3 episodes of a show kind of stretched out and thrown together. It really is, it really is like, it's not bad. It's that it's curious to me that they went back to the mines and said, we have got to get Star Wars back on track. And like 7 years after Rise of Skywalker, they finally are like, we're back in theaters. And that what they've done is this kind of like,
damn.
Like, I feel like I here's the thing. I've thought, oh, kids will probably love it. And then I thought, but will kids get a little bored while these scenes keep getting drawn out? I mean, it's 2 hours and 12 minutes. And it feels like it. I mean, I hate to be the person who always says this could have been 15 or 20 minutes shorter, but it really did sort of feel like if you just made some of the scenes a little more compact, it would be shorter than that. There's nothing that's really horrific unless, again, you don't like those CGI huts. And I don't think that, like, I think Jabba in Return of the Jedi looks good, even though I know he's an obvious rubber creature. But I don't think any of the CGI versions of the huts that they've done have ever quite looked right to me. I can't quite explain it. And there's like a major character in this who is a hut, and you're spending time with them a lot. And they're not a bad character. It's just that the effects feel sort of weird. But I there were moments where I was really like locked in and like leaning forward, looking for every little new bit of detail and every just exploration of the underworld. Like this, he's a bounty hunter who works for the New Republic at this point. So he goes out looking for like Imperial war criminals. So it's like, it's a good, he's still kind of a gray area character, but he's doing hero stuff. So it feels like a really clean setup. I know they said they tried to make this movie for people that maybe didn't watch the show. They wanted it to be easy to sit down and watch. And I think, people will probably really enjoy the opening stretch of the movie more than the back stretch of the movie. And I think to me, that feels like a problem of the episodic nature.
That sounds lopsided.
Right. But I mean, I will stress that there were moments early on, especially when I was like, oh man, this is fun. This is really like a super fun extension of what the show did well. But I guess at that point, I thought maybe it was going to connect with something of substance. And I do feel like there is a slight, just like I do about Mandalorian the show, that there is a slight stiffness or something to the way that the dialogue is written and performed and shot that this movie has kind of from the start. And it's almost like a wink, like, oh, this is the Star Wars style. But you see how something like Andor can liven that up so much with good dialogue and performances that feel a little bit more weighted. And I'm not expecting this to be Andor. I'm just saying that sense of spark and life, in this, it's mostly coming from the narrative and the motion of the thing, and less from the performances and less from the characters. So, but Grogu still works. Man, does Grogu work. There's some fantastic Grogu stuff in this. And once Grogu hooks up with all the little Babu Frick guys, I don't know what those aliens are called, but the alien,
the little repair ones.
Oh my God, the ones that call him bad baby, horrible baby. And they like team up, and there's so many, like they've got this little ship that Grogu looks huge in when he's like in their cockpit, like they're sitting at their cockpit and he's behind him and he looks just like a giant monster in their ship because he's so, it's like, and he's so happy. Like there's so many great moments, anyone who has ever loved a small creature, whether it's a human or it's a pet, Grogu does so many endearing things in this fucking thing, just his little face. And the fact that he's still nonverbal, I think is smart. I was really afraid that he was going to say like, da, da, or something in this, but they don't.
Da, da. That's a kind of a bummer, John.
I mean, I was hoping it would feel like a slam dunk home run, and instead it feels like a cautious step towards something that they don't quite nail. And therefore it makes you wonder, like, if the question is, should Star Wars be in theaters? I really don't think the answer can come until we see the Ryan Gosling movie next year.
Damn.
But didn't you feel that there was like an absence of hype for this in a way, like an absence of a sense of like a swell of like, oh, Star Wars is coming? Like today when I went to the theater and I saw it, I was like, it's really weird. It doesn't feel like there's a new Star Wars movie in theaters. Like that energy was not like crackling in the air. And then when you see the movie, you're like, oh, I can kind of see how this is like. The thing is, it might make back its money. They spent less on it. It still was an expensive movie, but they spent a lot less on it than they normally do on a Star Wars movie. So in that sense, I think it could still be a huge success if it has a good weekend, and if a lot of families go see it. And people might love it, honestly. I just felt like, and I don't know, you guys have little kids still, but Henry had an unusual attention span for a little kid. I wonder how many little kids want to sit there for 2 hours and 12 minutes. Especially when a lot of the action is kind of repetitive. It's like, like it's like video gaming. You go to a new level and you have a lot of the same kind of moves in that level. And I hate to say, it makes me worry about, like, shouldn't it be that Jon Favreau making a Star Wars movie should be like the most delightful, fun, like whip smart like, what's happened to Jon Favreau's like comedy instincts and instincts about character? Like, it feels weird to say that.
He just got swallowed by Star Wars.
But it's like not just but it's like swallowed by also a slightly like Star Wars at its best has all that stuff, has the character and the humor and you know, the spark. So
maybe he's just exhausted, man. I feel like that whole enterprise seems very exhausting.
it must be, but they've had successes. And I don't know. That's the thing that confuses me is they've had enough success that I'm wondering why they don't seem to recognize like, oh, this is the thing that people are going to respond
that
to.
Works.
Well, I mean, because Grogu is like, if you look at what they've created in the Disney era, Grogu is one of the main things that works for audiences, you know. And I hope this movie doesn't put a dent in that concept that like Grogu really works for people. Because I heard people, not just myself, but it was me as well. You know, people are just like giggling. There's just a long shot of two people walking, and Grogu's like shuffling along beside him, and you see his little feet going. You know, he's like walking really fast to keep up. That kind of shit is just great. The fact that they chose to do so much with the puppet really is like the best thing about this. And I will say the main thing that makes this feel like a couple of good episodes of the show is that they avoid a lot of that. I really got bogged down with all that Mandalorian stuff, all the different Mandalorians and who can wear the armor and who's a true Mandalorian. That stuff was really dull to me on the show. So I was glad that this movie is like avoiding that entirely and pretty much just putting them on an adventure. That I've been careful not to say anything about what happens on the adventure. The trailer gives you a little bit of an idea of the shape of it, but I will say part of the fun is sitting down to watch this and realizing how little you know about the story you're going to see.
Sure.
And there are no lightsabers, and there's no Jedi, and there's no Skywalkers, you know, so that's nice.
Wow. Okay.
I would love to be saying this is a blast, you know what I mean? Instead, it's like a very like I said, a very cautious step towards something that feels like, oh, we know people like Baby Yoda, right? Well, let's do a movie with that.
I mean, I guess like does Star Wars, I mean, I'm just thinking about what you just said about like it being in theaters. Do you think that this is more of a warm up so that it can get to the Gosling movie because this is a safer bet?
Yes.
Like not like this is expected to be like a grand slam or like
I don't think
massive,
it is. I don't think it is.
It's more of like a hey, come back and watch us in theaters because next summer we have a huge one.
I think it is. I think the problem.
Okay.
I think the problem is it's hard for a movie to. It's hard to make a Marvel or a Star Wars or a Batman or an anything without or Superman or whatever without the expectation that it's supposed to make $1 billion. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it. There's a huge chance in my mind that this movie will be a wild success in terms of projections for the company, or at least a resounding success. Like I think there's a huge chance that this will make enough for Disney to be like, hey, yeah, we gambled on a slightly budget Star Wars movie and we calculated on a character we knew people loved and we made our money and then some, and that's great. But I think that if this movie does not sweep, and it's already getting kind of mixed to negative reviews from some folks, I think that the people are, we've talked about this, right, Ronald? Like how people talk like they're studio heads now. The people are a little too invested in that part of the conversation. So people are watching this movie like with knives out. I've always been ready to declare Star Wars like dead. People hated the prequels. A lot of people hate the sequels, you know. So I do think this movie, it's questionable to me whether it will help or hurt that conversation about Star Wars. Like, is this it's like I keep saying it's a cautious step in the right direction. I guess so. I'm saying I think it can be a net positive for them, but I don't think from a distance it's going to look like this resounding return that I would like to say that they thought it would be, but I don't feel like I've ever felt the vibe that anybody was pushing this movie as like, this is it. This is the next great wave of anything. It felt like, oh yeah, you remember that show? Well, here's like kind of a movie version. Which is fine. I just you know, I think it's just the question of like, should Star Wars be an event every time it happens, and should it feel really special to people? And I don't know. I guess we'll know after this weekend whether audiences are brought in just by the the prospect of more Grogu.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll probably be seeing it this weekend. I'm trying to get the kids excited about it. We've been watching the most recent season again, so
Are
and
they?
kind of introducing Dylan to it, and they're definitely pumped up for
I was
it.
about to say, if they're pumped for Grogu, I have a feeling the Grogu will carry them through a lot of this movie.
Yeah,
And the only
yeah,
question I have is, you can let us know if they start squirming at any point when it's like 3 Jabbas rolling around wrestling each other, and you're just like
right,
going like,
right,
okay, does this need to be a 5-minute scene?
right, right, right.
Okay.
We'll see. Anything else you guys watched? I mean, I was saying earlier, like I really just been watching some TV. I didn't get to the boys finale, so we'll talk about that maybe next
Yeah.
week. Um, just want to say again, I'll probably keep saying it until the finale when we talk about maybe the season as a whole. Hope everybody's watching Widow's Bay. If you haven't
Yes.
heard of it, it's kind of finding moments. You know, I see it all over my social media, you know, everywhere I look, which is great. And I think I've read an article that like it's growing its audience week over week, which is exciting. So definitely check that out on Apple TV. Great show. Again, Apple TV has a new show coming out. What's the one we just got access? The one I asked about, Maximum
Maximum pleasure guaranteed.
Guaranteed,
Yeah.
and looking forward to watching that.
And then
That's just
Margot's Got Money Troubles just ended.
okay.
Yeah,
Again,
season finale just happened. Yeah, so it's a lot. Apple has a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So just a lot of TV to talk about probably in the next couple of weeks. But I just wanted to give some love to Widow's Bay again because it's one of the one of the best things I've watched recently. And we've had the pleasure of having access to the season. And I definitely watched ahead, and I can't wait to talk about the show as a whole when we can get to that point. But
I've seen the first 6 at this point. I've been doling them out. I'll watch 2 together when it's time, and I think I'm gonna maybe
cool,
this weekend I'll polish them
cool.
off. But no, they're great.
Yeah,
The
it's a great
quality
show.
control is really strong on that one. And I'll just mention, since we did not talk about The Boys yet, over on my podcast feed, FYIZ, if any listeners of Movie Schmovie want to hear me talk even more, there is a monthly show that I've started doing with friend of the show, Bob Rose, called Not Great Bob. And we talked about The Boys this week. So if you get over there
Cool.
to the FYIZ feed, you can hear us talk about our feelings on the finale. And other stuff. That podcast, I tried to come up with like, how can I have at least 2 podcasts come out a month on that feed? So I've come up
Right.
with 2 sort of hangout shows. One of which is that show with Bob, and another one which is a friend of mine, Becca Eaton, who is a fellow book nerd, and we just talk about the books we're reading. So yeah, but those are 2 new monthly shows over on the FYIZ feed. So I hope people check it out, and especially if you want to hear me expound about The Boys. I had thoughts. I can't wait to see what you guys think of the whole shebang. They really do some, not so much like stuff that you wouldn't expect in the last episode, but they totally pay off certain things that the show's been kicking along all, the whole run. So
Nice.
it's just, that weird sort of satisfaction and kind of sadness when something's over, something you've been following for a few years, and you're like, oh, cool, it's over. And then you go, oh, wait,
It's over.
it's over. Not totally over, because there's spin-offs and
Yeah,
stuff, but still,
yeah,
it's
true.
like you know that you might not quite ever hit that the same spot again.
No, I get that.
And then what's our movie again? Exit 8 for next
Exit
week.
8. Yep, on PVOD. Japanese little horror thriller, liminal space related, using the buzzword of the pod over the past couple of weeks. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that next week. But yeah, I think that's it for this week, man. Everybody enjoy their holiday weekend. Moviesmovie.com is the website you can go to subscribe to the podcast. You can pick your podcast platform of choice. You can listen to the show right there on the web if you want to do that too. YouTube.com/Movies Podcast if you want to watch the videos that we put out weekly. Ronald puts out the home cut on there as well, and we have shorts from this from the main stream pod or the main feed pod, kind of clips if you can't commit to the whole episode. Anything you want to do to interact is really appreciated. But yes, we will be back next week with a new episode, and as always, thank you so much for listening. You've made our day. Thanks.
Bye.